Right, hello everyone and welcome to a brand new episode of the EduLeaders Speak podcast. Today is extra special because we're joined by not just one but two new guests. First of all, I have to introduce myself again. My name is Bochra and our co-host Iram.
Hello everyone.
And we also have Irameen here from the EduEnhance team.
Hello.
Who's a clinical psychologist and now leads our early childhood division as well. And as for our guest, Dr. Bochra Kaddoura, a woman of incredible warmth, charm, knowledge, and experience who wowed us from the first time we met her. A bit of a formal introduction to Dr. Bochra. She's an early childhood education specialist with over 30 years of experience in the field. She's currently an early childhood education advisor at the Sharjah Private Education Authority, SPIA. Previously a senior early years inspector at Dubai's KHDA, and for 17 years an independent ECCE consultant and researcher across the MENA region. She's worked on education in emergencies, rebuilt nursery quality systems, trained teachers and parents, and pushed hard on children's rights, gender equity, and SDG 4.2, the Sustainable Development Goal 4, Target 2 under the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Wow, I think we could keep going for a while. So how about we dive straight into the questions and get to know you better?
Well, thank you very much for this lovely introduction. I mean, I didn't recognize myself.
And that is the beauty, isn't it? So every time I have met you, Dr. Bochra, it's you're like a powerhouse of knowledge, information, and positivity.
Thank you.
So you continue to inspire us, educate us, and just let us fall in love with early childhood education more and more because of all the great information you share with us.
But that's what early childhood education is all about. You know, you keep behind. Yes, they fall down on the technology and they say and on the big words, the research words. You know, the big jargon that we all like to say in academia. But they're very passionate about it, and I am passionate about the SDG because I was the first to really start and help with establishing the SDG network. And one of my professor is Jeffrey Sachs, who's really started the Professor Jeffrey Sachs, who's amazing. Anyway,
Amazing.
on SDG 4.2, that is really something that we're trying to drive.
But going back a few years, what led you to fall in love with early childhood and start your career in this field?
Well, it was by chance because I come from a very privileged family and I grew up in Africa. Education is not such a big thing. When you're privileged and living in Africa and my father, so I was really, my main, it was that I would get married, that I'd take the business, and I'll have all these lovely morning cafe with, the elite of the society. It was never about working in early childhood education. And my father, I mean, even when I became an early childhood educator, he thought, so what are you doing? Are you changing diaper now? This is what you're doing? I'm a doctor. And I said, doctor in changing diaper? It's not until I became at the university a chair for the education department and leadership that he thought, okay, that's my daughter. But before he wouldn't even say my daughter. And a teacher in Africa, I'm talking about the 1980s, that is not something that you would do. So it was by chance when I met my husband and I lived in Saudi Arabia. I didn't speak Arabic very well at the time. So there was no university to continue. I was doing science, biology. And so I had to go and work at the school, just to pass my time at the American school. And this is where it was just volunteering work. And this is where I started.
Wow. Total chance.
Total change.
Good chance.
Change completely. Yes.
But you were meant for this, do you feel that way?
Yeah, I am. I love. It's not that when the teachers they say, why are you in this profession? Because I love children. I said, forget it. Don't take them. You don't take them weekend for free at home. You cannot love them that much. But I think it's not about yes, I do have a BA in early childhood education and masters in early childhood education, but my actual doctorate is in business administration with a focus on early childhood education.
Wow.
So it's more about the economy, more about community development, more about really children's right and that is most. So I respect the children.
Oh, I love your.
I don't love them.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Nobody loves children, except their parents, because they kick and they spit and they repeat the same thing. But you respect them, and you really need to make sure
I love
that
Thank
you
for saying
provide, you give them the right, because they're going to be leading your economy.
Absolutely.
100%.
When in 50 years they're going to be leading your industries. They're going to be taking care of you. So if you don't teach them ethics and respect them, they're going to dump you somewhere.
But also now we know that if you don't respect children, their sense of self-worth and that takes longer to develop. So if you just teach them like how to interact on the same level from a younger age, it's easier for them to be confident. That's just how I feel and what my understanding
Yes,
of
but
respect.
why? But at the end, you see what we are now. Everybody is the World Bank. When the World Bank is interested in something, the World Bank is interested in early childhood education, not for educating the children. They don't care about the children. They care about the investment,
Right.
and they care about what is the return on investment. And investing in early childhood education, we've got research from anthropologists, from economists,
absolutely.
to fill us. We don't need any more research. That for every dollar we spend on early childhood education, it's about the economy. It brings you 13. So that's what they are really low. $13
Yeah.
in early years, in social services, and all of that. And that is what they care about. That's why the whole world is really going into early childhood education. At the end of the day, yes, the self-esteem is very important because it's going to end up
Oh yeah. And
a
everything
citizen.
you do.
a citizen in the later on, and they are going to be running the world. They're going to be the leaders. They're going to be the economists. They're going to be the doctors. They're going to be. So if they don't have that self-esteem, they will not reach there.
Absolutely. So the different stakeholders have to look at it from different perspectives. And of course, from the leadership perspective, you're the one who's also supporting with policies and with how the mindset should be in terms of development for the early childhood sector.
It is, and it is very important. See, early childhood has not changed because it's developmentally appropriate and holistically integrated. However, it wasn't institutionalized.
Yeah.
Because in the when we talk about early childhood education, it's only education from 3 to 6. But when we talk about early childhood education and care, that means your health, your social services, your economy, your rights, and it's all included. So it's multi-sectoral, multi-dimensional. So it affects all that. Before, the schools were based on. No, we're shifting out from this.
No worries.
Before the economy, with the industrial age, what was it? It was about It was about having scientists and workers.
Factory workers,
Right?
absolutely.
So what was the curriculum and the schooling system, which is still today?
Yeah.
It was based on an industry line. You've got a package of kids, they graduate all at the same time. They need to read cognitive reading, cognitive science, math, and then you have the workers, the physical. So this was the curriculum. Today, it's a global economy.
True.
It's it's sustainable. They need to be sustainable. They realize that you cannot go on the economy. So you need the social, health, emotional, the 4 dimensions, whether in early years or in schools. Now, that's why it's child-centered now. But the thing is, why is it important in early childhood? Because we know now for sure, 90% of your brain development happens between birth and 9 years old. Yes, you can intervene. Yes, the youth are important. Yes, middle school is very important. But your brain, most of the synapses and develop, the intervention becomes much more difficult after that.
100%.
So I'm looking at my young team members and I'm seeing how they're having their light bulb moments like I have mine every time I sit with you. But I have a question.
Yes.
So if you go back a few years, or rather, your 20-year-old is sitting with you or following you the whole day at work, at home, what is that one thing she'll be truly surprised about what you have achieved in life?
As I said, I grew up in Africa in a very, very, very advantaged family, not just, so we had our own plane, we had our, and I am the only activist in my family. And they fought me because I wanted to go to university because I was fighting against apartheid and against all of this. And my father had a very hard time getting me somewhere where I can't be in prison. I mean, I wasn't going to go to prison. And I thought I would not be able to achieve that. But if I look now, and I think I have achieved my goal, I'm advocating. I've always been an advocate. I was with the Child Forum, Global Child Forum, advocating for children's rights, advocating for better quality, advocating for change in the importance for the rights of the teachers. You know, I think I'd be very happy that they were not. I didn't know that it becomes a career. I thought I would just be helping. Because, you know, I always believe that when you do the change, the advocates are not the people that are in need. They don't have the time.
Right. Yeah.
Who does the revolutions? People who are elite, who have the time and have the connection. The people who are poor, they cannot do the revolution. So the same thing, I didn't know that it was going to be a career. Yeah, I'll be proud of myself.
Wow.
I'll do it again.
Amazing.
I am sure, absolutely. Like, we are proud of all the work you're doing. But having said that, what is that one belief about young children you have had to unlearn or relearn?
The one thing that we had to, you know, not only me, but I think most of the is that they don't come in and we have to teach something. The brain actually, if you go back to Dr. Samuel, and you are a psychologist, you would know education, the brain comes in with, our brain, the baby brain is big.
Yeah.
It's not small. And then it gets, you know, the experiments, the activities or the experiences that would bring the synapses. So it's not like they come with nothing. And the reason is kids that don't go to school but they are in a very rich environment, they learn anyway. So it's not about that. It's about understanding that any learning needs to happen in the emotional room, in the relationship. It needs that. You need that. And that also was very proven research in the last report, Learning for Poverty of the World Bank. When they tested the children that are 10 years old, grade 10, and they looked at that 50% of them cannot read or write, they went back to that they need emotional support, development in their early
So not just literacy.
No, it was, if they have this, then they would have scored better. So that is another indication. So, and I think very few people know. They think that emotional development is kissing your child and, you know, and ways. No, that's not it. It's about security, about trust. I mean, you start with the infant. You know, look at the infant. You've got the peekaboo, right? This is very important. This is a life skill.
Yeah.
Anything that they learn when they are young, it's a life skill. El peekaboo is about object permanence.
Yeah.
So can you imagine? And this develops between 9 months and a year and something. It depends on the age. So can you imagine if you are an adult and you haven't developed your object permanence? So if somebody leaves you, your mother leaves you or something, you are 10-year-old and you don't know where it is, you're lost. You are wasted.
Yeah.
It's a life, everything that we teach the children skills are life skills and not teaching to read and write and play.
I love what you're saying, because we are seeing these recurring problems. Or the past few years we've been working with school literacy is an issue, that's an issue. And I feel now it's taking longer to address that, because one of the things we're not addressing is how building those learning skills in students, like active listening, the patience, the process of learning, the touch and go culture of swiping. So so those emotional, I need to dig deeper into the research you just talked about, but I see the connection in what you're saying and what we're seeing in the world.
And that's absolutely true, because if you look at the Bloom's
Taxonomy.
Taxonomy.
everybody now they have a new Bloom's taxonomy. They have it's all about learning for all human beings, and you really need to go back to the end, right at the end, innovation, when everybody is thinking innovation. But what is innovation? Innovation is actually using your endured learning, your past experience, to solve new problems. That's your
Absolutely.
IQ. And in a different situation. It doesn't mean that you're going to be artist. It means that you really need. And innovation does not happen if you cannot evaluate. And
Absolutely.
evaluation does not happen, the skill of evaluating, if you cannot analyze.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, create. Because you need to create something. You know, you really need to make a situation. And it doesn't have to be materialistic. That's what I always say. And you cannot create if you do not analyze.
Yeah.
And you
So
cannot
true.
analyze if you cannot apply.
Yeah.
And you cannot apply if you do not understand.
Oh, wow.
And you cannot understand if you do not remember.
So all interconnected.
So it is a series.
Yeah.
And the early years, 5 years old, the critical thinking that every single inspector comes, they don't have, you have to teach them critical thinking. 5 years old don't have critical thinking. They go back to Piaget. But you start that, you know,
process.
that process where they can match, they can compare,
Yeah.
they can contrast, they can do that. These skills
Yeah,
take
the
7
building
years.
blocks, absolutely.
Asking a question takes 7 years to develop.
Yeah.
Mastering, identifying this, you know, the sound, 7 years.
Absolutely.
And we want to teach them in one lesson.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I truly believe like play is the occupation of children, right? Like that's the best way the kids will learn, and that's the best way they will apply, and then, you know.
And that's another problem we're facing. Play is very, very hard.
Structured.
Extremely hard.
Structured
tried?
play.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried playing with one child alone
Yeah, I've got
Yes.
3 kids of my own. So,
for
yes.
more than 1 hour?
Yes.
No,
That's
not
very
more
hard.
than 1 hour, no.
For
not
half
at
an hour,
all.
and that's it.
Oh, yes.
The thing is, they're doing play, but it's not instructional play.
Yeah.
It's not, it doesn't, you know, they're playing. Okay, what are they? Yes, they are discovering at a toddler age, and yet they are discovering. But what is it? It's not instructional. And they tell you, but it's free play. There's nothing free play. The kindergarten teacher or the preschool teacher, I think, are the most autocratic teachers in the world.
Absolutely.
Because they ask the children to go to the toilet whenever they want to. They give them the good teacher. They have if she has a rich environment and she put exactly the toys that she needs to, or use the right instrument, then that child is going to be motivated to learn, whether he likes it or not. You cannot have a child not go around and discover it if she's a good teacher.
Right. That takes me to a really interesting question. You know, for listeners who don't have children yet, why should someone in their 20s care about the quality of nurseries or early childhood?
Okay, that's a very, very dilemma in the UAE today, actually, because they want their parents to be, you know, educated. What we have today is that the young generation, especially the Z generation, is a working generation, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
They're telling you, no, they don't do that, they do a lot.
Yeah,
And
I'm
they
part
work
of
a
it.
lot. And they are competitive enough, okay? And what we just said, early childhood education is not about teaching children and that's it. It's about the economy. So they are working, they need to plan the economy the future of their life. So they really need they don't have time to, it's like if you're building, you need an architect to come and build. So educators, one of their job in early childhood is teaching the parents, is really educating the parents and advocating for the right. That is, and community, for the whole community. So if they are going to, in early years, they really need to understand if that nursery has good quality and because if we go back to the SDGs are 17 goals, and every single country, 196 head of state have signed. They're committed to it, and there is a full platform like the stocks exchange where they really put
The ranking.
the ranking of every country. And every 2 years, all head of state, they have to sign, they have to come, they meet the General Assembly and they talk, they show what they have. So the 4.2 has two points there. Access to all. And early childhood education is from birth to 8. So they have access from birth to 8 years old. And the second 4.2.2 is equity and quality. Now, there are only 2 goals. But when we're talking about access, we're talking about access from birth to 8.
8 years.
In health, in social services, in protection, in education, in boys and girls, gender, all of these. Then when we talk about equity and equity does not mean equality, it means intervention, well-being, inclusion, and quality means the operation, the policies, all of these. So in all dimensions, health and that. So it's a huge thing. It is the economy. So that's why they really need to look at where the nursery they should care about the quality of care. They should care about their role in there because they will have the time. The Z generation will have the time to be involved, fully involved in there. It's going to be early childhood education is more about the parent and the relationship and the community as a full. So, and also the economy and working that. That's why it's crucial. They don't have to teach them, but at least that's where they will together raise their child.
I think being a part of Gen Z, I can completely relate to that. It's not too far away from my, the way the era is moving forward. And it's also very interesting to see the way the children now are being raised in the nurseries. Like they're a lot more smarter. Like I've worked in nurseries and I've seen children they go and tell their parents small details, kind of shows me how they're picking up on smaller memory parts of the day, which maybe could be due to the kind of shows that the kids are watching now, like Cocomelon or the shows which have very small snippet. It can be a detrimental thing, but at the same time, it's also causing a lot of children to retain a lot of information. And it was surprising during parent-teacher meeting when a lot of parents would tell me, well, my child comes and tells me from morning to afternoon, she tells me the entire structure, how the teacher has planned the day, what the teacher does, the activities, and what you were telling during the activity. And for a 3 or 2.5-year-old to have such a retention was something that was very mesmerizing for me at that point when I was just
Absolutely
working.
right. And you have to add also in the relationship, the Z generation is very much hooked on technology and digital. And in early years, it's the relationship. They're not hooked up on technology. The technology will help the teachers, will help the environment to set it up. So, but you do need and a lot of research have been done where children have been put aside and they died because of this. So it's not really something. They need the relationship. They need the hugging. Where infants were segregated away from their mothers, and then they had the problem. The preschool, Jack Hackman, and they did a research over 27 years, and we still base because in early years you do have to have longitudinal studies. You don't have them. So they gave disadvantaged children 1 year for toddlers, 1 year of quality education. Nursery. What? And they followed these. that's where they came up with $1 equal return on investment, ROI, is for $13. So these kids, they followed them, they didn't have dropout. They followed them, they grew up to be, they did not divorce and cost. They bought a home, they were working, they had very few drugs, all of these. So this is where they calculated over 27 years. And in UAE, and in the Gulf actually, the only problem that we have now is very important, is that we really need to include the culture.
Right.
That is very important because culture is what makes your civilization.
Absolutely.
Culture is what brings all the people. It's your reality where all the community, they connect together. You feel with each other. You have your values transcended.
True.
And you have your genetic memory.
Right.
There is a genetic memory. The
100%.
kids that are today are smarter than the kids
100%.
of yesterday. However, they have less heritage and culture. And that's what we really need to work on. Because of all this, because it's a young generation here in UAE. They've just, they wanted to work and globalization and all that. So we're losing our
The
their
roots.
culture.
Right. That's so interesting to hear, and that kind of intrigues me to ask you the following question. If you can share one example where a small change in the nurseries or schools made a big difference in children's development or their learning outcome.
It did. Actually, I was here recently, 3 years ago. What I did was I did a workshop in Sharjah. We are actually implementing the SDG 4.2. We're not just talking about it.
Amazing.
So the quality and equity, and also the teachers, because we have UAE is one of the leaders in the world in early years, because we have the Sharjah recommendation that all the Arab countries have to follow. So what I did was the teachers, they were teaching, teaching reading. Everybody is hooked on phonics now. Everybody wants to teach phonics. And so what I did, I simply gave them a workshop, a full day workshop on how children learn using Bloom's taxonomy. And I actually formulated for them a full sentence today with, are you an applied early childhood educator? And I told them Bloom's taxonomy is not about writing it on a piece of paper and planning. It's about when you plan, you really need to present and these children learn without you, whether you are here or not. That was the most important, that was the shocking thing to them. I said the only thing that the kids don't do when they don't go to school is they don't read and write. But they can count. They discriminate, especially if they are in a stimulating environment where there are 4 seasons, we have all the scientists. They didn't go to, they went through very rigid schooling. They didn't go to all that. However, what's different today? First of all, we are in a desert, so we have a different kind. We don't have the 4 seasons and that for scientific discovery and that. But also we don't have the time. Things are faster.
Very fast.
They want to do it very fast.
Sure.
So the first thing I did was teaching them that, and then the language. How do you teach the language, the science of reading? Because I have a lot about reading. I wrote a lot, got a lot about the science of reading and how you can, you don't teach reading to learn or learning to read, and the new ways of the new discoveries, if you want, of that were done 25 years ago. And the math, the fundamental understanding, the understanding of profound understanding of fundamental mathematics, and I taught them, there's always a link, profound understanding of fundamental mathematics. How do they teach math? Linking everything to the world. For example, what I taught them in the science of reading is that they need to use all 5 elements of the science of reading together. They cannot separated. So you've got the story, the comprehension, you've got coming from it the discrimination of the sound, and you've got in it the building the vocabulary and the phonics and the comprehension. Comprehension strategy, for example, skills, it's got 5 skills, takes 18 years to develop. That's why you're an adult at 18. Because the first thing in comprehension is to predict. And what do they, I always go and find a teacher reading a story and she says, what do you think is
Making
going to happen?
predictions.
It's
Yeah.
a story.
Yeah.
And I say, what are you doing? And she says, we're teaching them to predict. I said, what do they need to predict? The story. And the end of the story. I said, but they're going to look at the story and open the book. And these kids were looking at them. And what is it? You need to teach them. Why do you need to teach them to predict? Because they need to predict the story. I said, if they look at the book, will they not understand the story? She said, yeah. I said, they need to predict because in life, if somebody is coming towards you with a knife to kill you, if you don't predict that he's going to kill you, you're dead.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with reading. It's a life skill. So what you really need to teach them is thinking, how to think.
That's
I see 2 birds here. So, do you think the story might be about 2 birds? And I see a tree. Okay. Let's see. So you're thinking strategies of how to think. Because it's not today, it's going to continue with them. And the same thing, and that is very important when you link it to the skills in the world, because later on, if you want to do an intervention, you need to know. So I think after that, the teacher said, okay, great. They didn't know, for example, that children at 2 years old, if you ask them, they only discriminate the end sound. If you ask them, do you love mommy or daddy, they would say daddy. Ask him, do you love daddy or mommy? Mommy. Because they can only discriminate the last sound. And if they were in their wild, and there are 2 sounds, a sound of a bird, and after it comes the sound of a lion, they will only hear the lion. Or vice versa, so they will not run. You have to bring it to them that it's not you. And after that, I saw a lot of what's happening, because when you link it to Bloom's taxonomy and the environment, making the environment, that learning happens at all times. It happens at night, it happens at home, it happens in the environment, and outside. It doesn't happen. The 2 most important thing in teaching, in all teaching, and my friend John Joseph, who's the brain, told me that. He says, it's a theater, it's a play. Who are the 2 most important? The actors and the audience. It doesn't matter where you are, under the tree, it doesn't matter where the theater is. Yes, if you have a beautiful theater, that would be more an added plus. But it's all about the teacher and the audience.
Wow. I feel so strongly that everything you're saying should be put on a billboard. But the next question that I have is, what's one fact about brain development in early childhood that's often misunderstood?
That learning happens only with a teacher. That if you have, at one time, Mary Young, who's a researcher, said, if by the age of 3, the children are not in a stimulating environment, nurturing and natural environment, it will be too late for them. And what do we mean by an environment? This is what, you have the time where they can discover, they can learn, they can observe, but it's not segregated. See, we have 1 hour of Arabic and 1 hour of English and 1 hour of I don't know. It cannot be this. And the environment, they have all these pictures, which is great. The other day I was at a nursery, and they have all these corners, and they have these pictures, but they don't have anything, they have some. I said, okay, so you are at home. You have this beautiful living room, amazing. You've got the sofas, you've got the table, and you have visitors. You don't have the lamps, you don't have the ashtrays, you don't have that. And you want to offer them coffee, so you bring them a picture of the coffee cup. Cannot be. And it cannot be limited. Oh, but they can only count till 10. Why? You need to put up to 100.
Yeah.
You might find a child that might like to count.
Beyond.
You need to look at the end target, what they need at the end of the year,
Yeah.
and then leave everything, and then you can evaluate them on, or you can test them on where they are in their. It's not, as you said, kids today are smarter than the kids yesterday, and tomorrow they're going to be much, much smarter. Believe me.
Amazing. So Dr. Bochra, for us at Edu Enhance, this is our priority. This is what we get up every day in the morning excited about, supporting educators. And fortunately, because we're in the UAE and the leadership has such a clear vision of where they want to take education, where they want to take different sectors. So we have those guidelines, we have a certain vision to follow as well. But in your opinion, how can we best support early childhood educators? What could be those top 3 priorities to support those teachers? Because we understand that they have a lot on their plates as well. So if we were to prioritize, this is how we need to support them. What would your advice be?
Well, we had the same problem in Sharjah, and what we did is, first of all, we assessed where they are, the educators, all of the early childhood. Where did they come from? Because this is you've got most of the teachers are from different areas. So what we did, the first thing was actually check all the licensures that are there in the world. Cash level 3, because everybody wants to go to cash level 3, nobody knows what cash level 3 is all about.
Yeah.
If it's 12 credit or 24 credits.
Yeah.
And so we looked at Australia, and we looked at also what the situation is. You've got teachers that are very qualified, you've got teachers that are not qualified, but you've got assistant teachers that don't know what to do, you've got nannies that don't know. And yesterday I met somebody, she gives courses to nannies. I was very impressed, which is, great. So once you have that, you really need to know, okay, what are the in-service, targeted micro-credential that they can work. You cannot send them back. First of all, the profession is very low paid all over the world. And if there is a war, the first thing they'll drop is early childhood. Nobody wants to invest in it, although now they're changing their minds. So the first thing is to know what kind, really know the data, what is the situation, what are the graduates, what are the level of skills, right? And make sure that any training that's going to happen is over. You need 21 days to master, at least to remember and keep it in the enjoyed learning.
Wow.
So it needs to be over a period of time. And if you train the workforce, really what I'm talking about, having a sort of, not even courses that they can do homework, but let's say you're giving assessment, and then you say, okay, now I need you to go back and check your assessment theory at the center where you're working, and the children that you want to assess, and let her do a capstone about the, that is the kind of learning once a week where she will end up with a portfolio of her own classroom.
So like a job embedded training.
Exactly.
And not just a
and
one-off.
what her needs are. And the thing that we did is also what now we're working on is all the Day Nurseries Act, or the act which is the law or the operation. What we have in Sharjah now is just that they are finalizing it, is all the regulation. So because we don't have the culture, people who are coming or teachers, so now we have a sort of a test at the certification. So if you are, let's say, a nursery leader, you come in and we look at your qualifications. Yes, you're fine. You've got your rest. Fine, good. Now you need to do a test. It's like a bar test on the operation and the laws of UAE and the culture. So if you pass that, you're certified to work anywhere you want in Sharjah.
Excellent.
That's amazing.
And that will make sure that the nursery leaders, they know all the laws and the regulation. It's a guide. It's not only the law, but it also tells you, this is what you need. And it also has the culture and the, the protection and all that, the care part. And the nursery leader needs to know these things.
So Dr. Bochra, that brings me to another question. In your vast experience, has there been one policy that you've seen has made a real impact, and it didn't just stay on paper? Nurseries and early childhood centers were actually implementing them, and it made a real difference.
Are you talking in
the UAE?
In the UAE, yes, protection. The Wadima law that has the protection, the protection and the well-being now is really, because the well-being goes on to emotional and the social development together. So, and the protection and the community and the partnership. So I think the well-being policy is really, but it hasn't been implemented like the Wadima, like the social, like the protection, child protection policy. And of course, UAE was I was there actually when they did amend the law, for the children's right. So they have amended a couple of things. They participated a lot in there. Now the next one is about sustainability, but I don't think anybody is really understanding sustainability beyond greening
Big time.
and planting. But sustainability is a policy that goes into health, sustainability in education, and it's a right. Because if we don't do in nutrition, in all of these. So I think we still need that. But I think the most important one that put UAE on the globe was the child protection.
Excellent.
Now, it is embedded in schools, but we still don't have, because we trained police one time, the police of Dubai, but it's not everywhere. It has to be comprehensive. It has to be how the parents, how the police deal with it, the hot lines. There are hotlines, but
Do enough people know about it?
shelters,
Yeah.
all of these. So it's not just one. That's again when I'm talking about sustainability and protection. I'm talking about all these areas. So that one now, it's well established, this chain, but it needs all the rest.
And the fact that even parents, who are such an important stakeholder in early childhood, they need support, they need help, and they need the learning as well. So sometimes you forget the focus is all on children or the teachers. You're training the teachers, you're training, of course, teaching the kids. But what about the parents? Sometimes they are doing things because they just don't know any better, right?
But they are the most important stakeholders.
important.
The parents. Now, people think that, okay, I cannot tell them about the policy. I'm not asking you about the policy. They don't need to be involved in everything, but they need to be. First of all, your job is to have them as partner, not inform them. Well, we do have a partnership. I said yes. So do you tell them about your what happens every day, your budget? No.
Yeah.
Do you tell them about No. We tell them about how the children are doing. I don't care about how children. The children are going to grow up anyway, and they're going to be good. And it's not about this. Do you tell them that they need to have? Because most of the parents, they used to come and tell me in Canada, okay, where do I put my child? In which nursery? And we had a very good subsidized, and I would say, put them somewhere where you have everybody is good, everybody, but have the same social status in the same neighborhood, because you're going to be for the next 5 years building a relationship with the parents of your friends, of your kids' friends. So you need that. because you need to be able to go out to the park, take the children, they play together, you model the relationship, and they will learn, and this is how you make a community. You cannot put them in another community just because the school is good. Doesn't matter. And now, it's even doesn't matter more than any time, because you don't need the information, you can get it anywhere. So it's about the relationship.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because we've just worked on a suite of early childhood workshops, and one of the topics that came up was partnering with parents, and so I'm glad we're able to cater to that. Another thing that you said that really, it saddens me sometimes when I see education institutions just trying to check boxes and not realizing that if you invest in a certain area, you will have returns in the medium to long term. There's so much short term, it's just like optics, just put it on a piece of paper, people will see through it in a few months.
Yeah.
You know, but your investment will show off, and you'll have a sustainable business in the long term.
And that's the challenge in early years, because you cannot do any more longitudinal research. Technology and AI is really, you know, the world is going much faster than growing up. You know, that's why I said when you do a workshop, you need to give them at least, the workshop or the training needs at least to give them 3 weeks, please. They go, because I was training we were doing a program mother to mother in Dubai. And we were training trainers, social workers, and that. And this is something I developed, 24 sessions for the trainers, right? And they said, no, 24 sessions, we're going to come every week? No way. So we limited them to 12. And they said, no, 6 hours. I said, forget it. I'm not doing it. Because you need at least 12 sessions for your mind to reflect, to come back, to have it in your endured learning. You can't have everything fast. It's not a recording. It's if you are building skills, we're working on, you always try now with the training. And this is what we developed for UNESCO. It's a new kind of training. Before, it used to be knowledge. You would give the knowledge, then that knowledge would change the attitude, and then they go to practice, right? Because they passed the test. And you think they change the attitude. And that doesn't work. So now we're starting with the previous experience. What you have, your previous skills, okay? To understand your attitude, to build your competency, it's back now. Then to send you to become a knowledge seeker. So it's back. The whole template of that is at UNESCO. We use it now for training, for building units.
So I love how you're using technology to make your sessions more impactful, to make them more targeted at the same time, because you're actually assessing where they are at the beginning before you dive into the content.
But that's in the training. You see what they have as previous knowledge and that. So to understand where their attitude is, what is it, and then you start building the competency. That's how you build it. And so you need time for that. And the technology for me has always been as your executive secretary.
Love that.
It will replace the paper and pen. I mean, when they discovered the writing and the paper, it was a huge thing. When they discovered the recording, it was a huge thing. And now it's AI, it's a huge thing. It's exactly the same. They are the medium.
This actually ties in well to something you were talking about earlier, this positive parenting program that you've been a part of, you've been leading. Can you speak a little more to that?
Okay, so Socrates said in 500, BC, that children are, I can't quote it, I did it in the expo, I was talking about it, and that children are impolite, they don't listen to parents, they spit, they do what they want, and so this is 590, and the parents, they try their best to help their children. So from that time till now, nothing has changed. Children are still the same, parents are the same. What has changed? Again, I go back to the economy, to the time and the economy and how we interact with the community. The communities have changed. So positive parenting today, the poor what's happening is that with the social, what's happening in the social media is that everybody is becoming suddenly an expert, and they're telling parents what to do.
Oh, yes.
Do hit them, not hit them, talk to them, don't talk to them, give them everything they want, don't give them everything they want. So they have no idea what to do anymore. Honestly, they're lost, completely lost. And so what we need to go back is parenting. You are the parent, you're not their friend. And they're not. And we really need to go. Positive parenting does not mean that you don't you don't say no. It doesn't mean that you don't punish your children. It doesn't mean that you don't, not punishing. I don't want to say punishing.
But disciplining
But you're
them.
disciplining your children.
Yeah.
They need to be. It doesn't mean that you don't become like, for example, the other day, I was at a friend and she says, I love the way you talk about children's rights. And her son was jumping up and down on the sofa. And I said, no, Habibi, please don't jump. And I said, excuse me? I said, jumping on the floor, like this, jumping on the floor. If I see you jumping on the sofa, you're not going to like this. You jump on the floor. And she says, but you are children's right. I said, but that's not children's right. That is jumping on the sofa. So they need the technique. And we actually did, with Zai Research Center, we did a whole 10 sessions on positive parenting. And Mother to Mother is a program that we did and we trained, is also about positive and disciplining the children. But if they go and hear me talking now, they say, oh, she's right. But if they don't go into, if they go to a podcast or they hear, yeah, fine. But if they don't go into a training, they will not. It's very hard. They need reminders. Because they don't know. No, I haven't seen a child born with a catalog and a guide on how to use. Never. I've never seen that before. And it differs from one parent to the other. However, the problem that we have now all over the world, and especially in the Arab world, the Gulf mostly, is that we have a biggest problem than other countries, is the intergenerational.
There's a disconnect.
They're very disconnected. Now, in the other world, now we have 22 universities working on the voices of children in the world and on intergenerational, bringing the elderly, so that to keep the community cohesion, to have. In the MENA region, you still have that to some extent. In the Lebanon, Syria, in the Gulf, because most of the country, it's a rich economy. Most of the parents, they're young people. It's a rich and young economy. So what's happening? You've got the younger generation, the very new young generation, is working and working sure on, and they have different. They look at their ancestor completely. There's a big gap between the two. Their understanding, the values, and so they're losing that. And so we need to bridge the gap between, it doesn't have to be that all new parenting techniques are right, and it doesn't mean that all old parenting, so we really need to bring it in
right
between.
balance.
Bridge it.
I love that, because I feel like even a couple of years ago there was a sense of, if we separate, if we just turn over, it'll be fine, but you cannot lose sight of your past or your heritage.
No, there's a lot, and what's happening is that the kids, especially not when they are young, but when they go to teenagers, they're losing their identity, and that is very dangerous. Because when you lose your identity, you're stuck between two identities, you don't know what to do. Then you have the substance abuse, you've got the bullying, you've got the antagonist, you've got all that.
In fact, that's something that you often see with a lot of immigrant children when they move to a different country, and then they face this identity crisis where neither are they complete originals of that country, and neither do they want to be like confining to their own identity from where they come from. And that kind of puts them in this in the middle ground where they just don't understand what they want and who they are. And that's where you normally see them in a lot of issues, be that substance abuse, as you said, or like crimes.
Exactly, and that's where the wars come in.
Yeah.
Because if you have, and especially in all the Gulf, you've got most of the schools are private, and we are boasting about having different curricula.
International education.
Yeah.
Okay, so the different curricula is different sets of mind.
Yes.
So if these people are going to go and become leaders, they are going to communicate differently.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're going to fight.
Right.
So when you learn French is a different, because how I know that, I'm Anglophone and my husband is Francophone, right? So Franco-Lebanese phone. So when I speak English and French perfectly, so I have no problem. When I wanted to put my kids, I put them in a French school because my husband doesn't speak English. And they said, but why? You need to put them in an English school. I said, no. Because I want them to be able to deal with their father and understand and communicate in the same way. They have friends, their approach to life. It's not about the cognitive. Everybody ends up at university. It's about how you look and communicate in life. There was a war of 25 years in Lebanon because you had people that think in a Francophone way and people that think in an Anglophone way.
Oh wow.
Right.
That's powerful.
Right.
So
Dr. Bochra, you've spoken about the important socioeconomic factors play in a child's development, and you've worked highly for the rights of children, and you've advocated for removing gender stereotypes from national textbooks. But what are some of the more subtle biases that you still observe that people often overlook?
Oh, this is really funny. Oh, I love that question. A friend of mine at UNESCO called me and she says, I've got a $20,000 job for you. I said, really? What is it? She says, I want you to review the textbooks for gender equity.
Yeah.
Crazy, $20,000. And I did that with the UNICEF. I was working with the UNICEF. And that 2 months killed me, but I learned a lot. I learned a lot because you do not know what are in the textbook. That's an extremely important. And since then I became a gender advocate because it's not you need to look at the pictures, you need to look at the words, and there is a lot of discrepancy. And one of the professors who wrote the book, and I was thinking, Ghazi, you wrote this. He says, I don't know. You don't realize how that's economic imperialism in the textbooks, because they have the woman. Not only when we're talking about gender, we're talking about women, children, we're talking about families that are disadvantaged, we talk about the role, about all of these. And this is where we have now the horror coming out of all these people that are coming. You really need to be able in the textbook, because it is for 365 days they're using it and they're reading it and they are subtle messages, stereotyping. And the other day, actually, I had a big fight, last year, because there was this book for early childhood education that was comparing, and apparently this is a huge book in England, and they were going to use it here, and I made a big fuss. And the person who was going to use it was a professor in early childhood education in Dubai for Emirati children, where they have a child, an Australian child, and a Moroccan child. And the Moroccan child is going to school. He's not going to school. He's going to with his father to work in the field on the camel, and the Australian child is going in the car and in the bus.
Oh gosh.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and that's why I revise most of the books. I'll give you an example. In this, they call on me to really look at the gender, only the gender. So the Ministry of Education had at one time an English book for KG1. English. Just the language. And they said, could you please check for the gender and that? And I did. So I had X, because all the girls had lipsticks and had 2 nuts. All the girls. The picture, what does this tell you? That the girls should have long hair and 2 nuts. They had lipsticks, and all the women had jewelry, and they were not veiled. All the teachers were ladies. They were not men.
Wow.
Or men.
Right.
Anyway, one of the things, and doctor, and then she was talking to me. She says, I understand. You crossed that one. You crossed this word. You crossed this word. All the ladies were assistant doctors. There were no doctors. No.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying? And it's a little picture. It's nothing.
It's in the 2020s this was happening?
So I crossed, and then there was eyes, ears, mouth, and nose. And the eyes they were colored in green. And the mouth, of course, red, and the eyebrows, brown, something. And she said, and I had crossed the eyes, and I had crossed them. And she said, okay, we need colors in this book. Why did you cross out the eyes? I said, have you seen any Emirati with green eyes?
Yeah.
No. I said, yeah, so what? I said, it means when a child looks at this picture, he's going to think, anybody with green eyes is better than me. And later on, they will rule us.
That's true.
We'll be under the thumb.
Yeah.
She said, you're paranoid. I said, maybe. You wanted my opinion, that's what I'm saying. Put black eyes, put brown eyes. We do have green eyes, but very few. I want the black eyes to be put there.
It's a very subtle,
It is. It's very. I didn't know. I'm telling you. I worked. If I could have left that, because it was horrible. You had to read everything, and I was happy with the $20,000, but I had to. And then I said no more. But then I'm glad I did it.
So
Because the
important,
children,
so
they
critical,
notice.
of
Yeah, but
course.
it's not children. It's
Sorry.
also adults.
Also adults.
Adult, and all the bullying, all the thing happens from that. This is a very important
In
question.
fact, that reminded me, it's something I really off, but the whole strategy of Barbies, being white, and then the whole idea about black Barbies coming in, which was a very it was a diverse idea, because when I was a child, it was all fair Barbies, all white Barbie. Then we were told that it's the color white that kind of holds a greater prominence over colors of different people.
In Canada, one of my students actually started a whole thing, and it's a very, very now big business. It's about all the stories, all the Little Red Riding Hood, all of them are black.
Yeah.
Because also there was a big movement, all the advertising. It's not only have you seen an advertising in the Arab world on the sneakers? The chocolate.
Yeah.
Have you seen it? Look
No,
at
I
it.
think
It's a
I've
very
missed it.
dangerous.
Oh, okay.
It's a very dangerous advertising. They have. She's playing football. They are playing football, and apparently, take a sneaker. You're not a woman, and so you can play better.
Oh.
So something like this. This was really.
Wow.
Again, there are subtle in the movie Avatar. See, people don't accept me because I got $20,000 to do this. She says, "Don't be stupid. Don't be a child."
Yeah.
You see, then you start really. These are very. How many people saw this movie?
Everyone.
Don't be stupid. Don't be a child. So, children are stupid.
Yes. Wow. That's
I feel
incredible.
like we could keep
Yeah.
going, and I'm really enjoying this.
Yeah. But this kind of just want to wrap up the entire podcast before we run on to our last and the final rapid fire round. Just a last question. From your experience that you've kind of worked for so many years with early childhood, and for many young educators who are planning to come into early childhood education, and they struggle to kind of make a balance between their passion and also the realities of burnout, and as you rightfully said at the start, this profession is not as highly paid. So kind of keeping that balance between the passion, the burnout, and the low pay, what advice would you give them to stay motivated and to kind of build a more sustainable career in this field?
Unfortunately, this is not only here, it's all over the world.
Yeah.
True.
It's all over the world. Some countries, though, that have achieved the SDG, because when you're talking about equity and quality, you're talking about also task force. Because in 2022, there was the second International Early Childhood Conference. And there was a Tashkent declaration, a declaration that all countries by 2030, they need to achieve. And it has 4 pillars. Okay? The first one is inclusion and well-being. The second one is task force. And when I'm talking about task force, not only teachers, it's everybody that works in the early childhood. And then the third is innovation, which is research and all that. And the fourth is governance, policies, and that. So look at the first 2. And what happens is that this has to be linked to the labor force, labor market. The other day, they had a podcast with me, the World Bank, on how can we let the parents speak Arabic with their children. And the only reason, they were training, they brought all these programs on Arabic, and no, it's not going to make any difference. The only thing that will make is a law that anybody who speaks Arabic will get a better job. Tie it to the labor market. Then the parents will be forced to choose school that gives a good Arabic program. The teachers, the school will have to develop their Arabic language curriculum. The job, if you and this is what we did in Canada. We had the same problem between English and French, and we said, okay, anybody, if you apply for a job and you only an Anglophone, and you are a Francophone and Anglophone, you speak the 2 language, even though you have the same qualification, you will get the job, not him. And that is it's about regulation. Regulating like we want to be like Finland. Finland, they did a system transformation.
True.
Because it's multi-sectoral, because it's multidimensional, there is nothing that works, it's segregated. It has to be a system transformation together, following, and that's what we did. We took the Tashkent Declaration, that's what we did in the Sharjah recommendation 2 years ago. We took the Tashkent Declarations, we took these pillars, and we said, okay, this is what you need to do. In policies, it cannot happen one time.
Right.
It's like, because it's developmental, it's like if you break your leg. You break your leg, you have to sit at home 6 months. Which domain, which area of development has been hit? Your physical, right? You're staying at home, you can't go out, but you have very good friends, they come in and visit you. So your social development is not hit. But after 6 months, nobody is going to come. So what hits? Your emotional, you get sad. So now you have your physical areas is being hit, domain. Your social, you can't go out, you don't have your friends coming in, it's been hit. You're emotional, you're sad. And when you're sad and anxious and depressed, you're cognitive. You don't want to learn, you don't want to try anything else. So it's all together.
Connected.
And I think that's really what our early childhood domain at EduEnhance really caters to. It's very holistic. We kind of cater to the child as a whole rather than child as one specific component, and trying to leverage that one component throughout.
And I think the most important thing, one thing that I really like what you do is your assessment. Because assessment is not just a task or a teacher's job. It is a right.
Yeah.
It is a right, and it's a process. And it is continuous, and in early childhood is crucial because that's where the intervention happens. However, understanding how to apply and embed it at all times. So teachers should, an early childhood education teacher should access the curriculum at any time, any place. And most of them, in most of them, what they do is the first thing they teach them is how to make a dot. But the first thing a baby is born and makes a dot. So I go back and teach him a dot. You see
Yeah.
what I mean? So it is very important. The assessment is extremely important because it's not because I want to see where I evaluate where he is. It's because I want to know if the intervention where it is. And I like that you have a 6 month. It's developmentally appropriate. You've got a 6 month leeway because you have a 6 month. You don't you don't move from 2 to 2.5 and you have the 2.5 skills right away. You have a period of 6 months.
Thank you so much for no, because right now a lot of nurseries and early childhood institutions are relying on observation-based assessments, which are great. Like nothing is going to be second to observation, but having that regular check-in every 3 or 6 months to actually see if the child is meeting the developmental goals of their age is clear cut. So you see the progress.
Exactly. But they have to do it by observation.
Yeah.
They have to do it either observing them when they are anywhere. That's why I said they have to access the curriculum at any time. They can do it one-to-one. They can do it formally. They can do it, but at least they need to know what's the next target.
Absolutely.
And if
Find
they
a
are
direction.
where is the intervention? They have to go back.
Right.
That's why when I say look at the developmentally appropriate. If you are teaching 3 years old, take the 2 to 3, the 3, and the 3 to 4. So take the last 5, let's say in communication, the 5 indicators of the 2 to 3, and the first 5 indicators of the 3 to 4,
Yeah.
4 to 5. So if you have a differentiated,
Absolutely.
you know how to look at the target and
Yeah.
where they are.
I do
Absolutely.
completely believe, I feel like assessments give more structure to observation because observations can differ from a person to person and teachers are constantly changing, but that effect and impact should not be on the children. And I just feel like assessments can, at a whole, really enhance the child's development and give that structure and pattern for both the teachers, educators, as well as for parents to kind of work together hand in hand to kind of leverage or help the child grow developmentally appropriate for his age.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's not only structured, because when you observe, you're observing what? You're observing a specific thing.
Yeah.
And you're recording because you want to know how you're going to promote this. Exactly like there was a KG1 classroom and they were measuring, they had, the caterpillars and they were observing them and they were growing. It's a study. It was an amazing study. And the teacher was amazing. And the child was drawing this caterpillar and was coloring it purple. And I said, isn't she creative? I said, there's no creativity. What is she doing here? She's doing a science. She's going to be like a scientist. She needs to record exactly. You're going to teach her the skills of a scientist. Exactly. So she can be creative if you want to tell her, I had a caterpillar living on the purple planet, for example. She can write a story. But for now, her scientific skills are not there.
So true. So, moving to a more fun part now of our podcast, the rapid fire round. So, I would just like to prep you all, ladies, with little boards that are kept on the table, and maybe you can grab the chalks as well. It's going to be a mini rapid fire. So, you'll have the questions, and the first answer that comes to your mind, you'll chalk it down there, and at the 3, 2, 1, just flip your board, and we can discuss your answers.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Set.
Are you ready? All right. The first question. One thing children teach adults better than any university ever could. All right. Is everyone ready? Maybe we can show towards the camera and then discuss our answers.
Dr. Bush is there already. Okay.
All right. So you've got curiosity.
Oh,
Bushra.
Oh!
We spent okay, what
You've
do
got
you
Aaron.
have?
Behavior.
Behavior.
They behave
Yeah.
well.
That's so
New
true.
parents behave well.
With the first child.
With the first child.
Yeah.
With the second child, they don't care. With the third child, he will teach them behavior.
True.
Hilarious.
Amazing.
As you grow older, you're supposed to present yourself as all-knowing, especially when you're older and you're now in a position where, yes, you have to know things to be there, but you don't have to know everything.
Absolutely.
So it's okay to be curious. It's okay to ask questions.
Yeah, but that's with the first child.
Yeah.
Have you seen the first child syndrome? I created that.
Really?
The first child syndrome doesn't want to do everything because the parents want to do everything with him. They want to take him everywhere. They want to do it. They want to play with him all the time. They want to. And the second child, he sits with you, and it's okay to be.
That's why when the second child happens,
And the second child, you know, it's just like changing the diaper. You don't want to. It's okay. He's fine. He can sit with me, and I don't have to be that clever to answer. And the third child, he runs wild.
yeah.
He raises himself.
True.
But that makes the third child even more curious, actually.
The third child is.
I think I'd add one more, which is like being carefree. Children really are the carefree ones, and as we grow older, we just start caring and worrying about so many things
That's
around
so
us that
true.
necessarily might not be something we need to put on top of everything that we're already dealing in our everyday life. So they're the ones who are enthusiastic. They're the ones who go around and do what they can do best.
Yeah.
But as adults, and the more we grow older, we are just so concerned about others' opinions,
Yeah,
about
that's so
everything
true.
around us. I just feel like
Yeah, the norm.
being
A simple way of
carefree.
looking at the world, and sometimes you miss that.
Yeah.
All right, moving down to our second question. What's one phase you wish teachers used more often with the children? All right, are you all ready? Okay, there we go.
Play with them.
Play with
Not-
them.
Give them to play. Observe their play. Play. Actually play.
Play with them.
It's okay. It's whatever.
So what I feel is that it's okay, meaning the teacher is telling the child, make mistakes, you know, experience different outcomes in whatever you're doing. It's okay. You're not being judged. You're not being reprimanded. You're not being evaluated all the time. It's okay. Enjoy the process.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you can fix problems. You don't have to always be so stressed about them. Mine is just, what do you think?
Okay.
Just asking students to share their thinking a bit more. I think it's very reasonable that teachers don't always have the time to do it, but I wish they would be more intentional about asking
And reflective.
and reflecting.
And that's very important. Yeah.
Amazing. And there we go to the last and the final question of our rapid fire round. Okay. So in 3 words, describe the magic ingredients in a great teaching. All right. So are we all ready? 1, 2, 3.
I just said it before, accessing the curriculum at all time. And what we mean by curriculum is knowing the goals and objectives, knowing the relationship, and relationship means a relationship with the teaching, with the parents, with the fellow teachers, and then developing an environment that is very, you know, a rich environment, and the material, and then a good sound assessment system. So this is what curriculum means, actually.
Absolutely. What about you, Iram?
I'll let Bochra go first.
Oh, okay. Simply just know your students. I was going to write patience and mindfulness first, and I was like, what am I trying to say with that? And I know there's so many pressures on teachers, there's so much they have to do. I just wish they could make a bit more time to really know their students, and then that would drive their actions rather than just trying to do everything all the time with everyone.
Yeah, but the leaders won't let them. They won't.
Yeah, and that is where I had some feedback. I felt that empathy in the whole environment, so all the stakeholders who are there, starting from the leadership, the teacher, the student, and then the parents. So having a community where everybody is able to support each other, not feel judged, having empathy for each other and for the work they're doing, and that purpose, which is the common purpose of developing the young generation, our future, because they are the ones who will be carrying this world forward, right? So having that very clear purpose of why we are there, and you know what we are doing, and how critical it is, and then enjoy the journey while you're, you know, going through it, rather than being always targeting for objectives that need to be met, paperwork that has to be done. I am a firm believer of processes and systems in place, because if you don't have them, not everybody could be doing their own thing. But in that process, make it cohesive, make it a community effort and endeavor and keep that purpose in mind while you're doing it.
And that's intentional teaching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Understanding that it is holistically integrated, it's developmentally appropriate, and that children are children in wherever the world. The same.
Absolutely. That's so true.
Amazing.
Thank you. What an amazing conversation, Dr.
Truly,
Bochra.
I've taken so many notes.
I had a feeling that this would be excellent, but this is, beyond my expectation. Thank
Yes.
you so much.
You're
Thank you so
welcome.
much, Dr. Bochra.
So, thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me.